Hello guys and welcome to another player ratings. Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. I was planning on filming this earlier, so I would have uploaded it the day after the game, but you know how I feel with losses and I just wasn't in the mood. But I finally did my player ratings and I'm gonna get into them. But just talking about the game, started so well and then all of a sudden it just fell apart like it has for most of the season, and that game just pretty much sums up our season. Just more points dropped from winning positions, just a whole mess, and there's so much uncertainty around the club at the moment and it's just so hard to deal with. And obviously our Europa League qualification hangs in the balance of this last one game, and we play against Leicester and I can't see us winning against Leicester, and it's going to be, I just can't see us winning that game. And then if Arsenal win their game, they're going to finish above us, and it's just, as much as I don't want Enoch and Levy to get money, but also I don't want Arsenal to finish above Spurs, because that will just ruin the season even more than it has been. I mean, there's nothing really that can save our season, because Europa League or Conference League, that's literally what it's coming down to in the last game of the season. It's just not good enough. And I'm gonna get into my player ratings. If you do enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I promise all my videos won't be like this. They won't always. I feel like I'm very down, which is normal because of the current situation. This may be a long player ratings, I don't know. I have a lot to say about certain individuals, but you know what, we're just gonna get into it. Starting off with Lloris, I gave Lloris a 6. I feel like some people would say he was lucky not to give away a penalty early in the game, but to me there wasn't enough contact for it to be a penalty. So if you watch my live watch, you would have seen me, I was like, not a penalty. I didn't see it as a penalty, but some people would say it was lucky. Obviously they could be given as a penalty, as VAR this season's been a bit inconsistent, or that the officials running VAR has been inconsistent, so I guess that was it. He made a decent save throughout the game, keeping us in it, keeping it at 2-1. He couldn't really do much about 2 goals conceded, one being a Sergio Reguilon goal. I mean, no one's going to expect an own goal, are they? So there wasn't really much he could do about that one. And the second goal as well, wasn't really much he could do about that. Overall, it was a decent display, and he was probably one of the best players on the pitch, really. Moving on to Tanganga, I gave Tanganga a 6. I thought he defended well at times, winning 1 tackle out of 1, 5 out of 5 clearances, and then winning 2 out of 3 duels. I do think he struggled to create anything going forward, especially with crosses into the box. There wasn't really many of those. He did try his best, get involved going forward, but it's just not good enough. There's not enough quality there, However, he was one of the only players that showed desire and pride for the badge, and he was unlucky to get injured near the end of the game, and I felt really sorry for him, because this season has just been filled with injuries for Jaffet, and I just feel so sorry for him that his season's gone like this. Overall, again, it was a decent display, and I do hope the injury that he got isn't too serious, because I don't want him to be out for too long. And then I'm gonna move on to Toby. I gave Toby a 6 as well. I do believe he was the best defender during the game, other than Tanganga. I think they were on a similar level. Maybe Toby a bit better because he's more experienced in that centre-back role. But speaking of Toby, 5 ball recoveries, 3 tackles. He made 1 interception and 2 blocks. Make vital challenges in our final third, which kept us in the game. Even though it did finish 2-1, but it kept us in the game, as well as Lloris. And I feel like in the second half he really stepped up, spreading the play with some good long balls. He kept Watkins quiet at times, as the scoreline could have definitely been higher when They had those chances on the counter and they didn't really take them. Overall, it was, again, another decent display. And I believe Toby didn't deserve to be on the losing side. I felt like he put a lot into the game compared to other players, which I will get into. So yeah, so moving on to Diallo. I gave Diallo a 5. 1 tackle, 2 interceptions. He made a few blocks, the vital blocks. But we're going to start with a few positives, the important blocks. Keeping the scoreline at 2-1, trying to keep us in the game so we could at least, try and get a result, but didn't end up that way. But moving into the negatives, which outweigh the positives so much. Lost possession way too many times. Too many times losing the ball in our own third. Getting caught holding on to the ball for too long. Like, all these things we know about Diallo, but, when you expect, like, we had a good performance against Wolves, maybe he can take that kind of performance into another game, but nope. Him holding on to the ball too long put us under pressure. And Aston Villa coming at us and them just not having any idea what to do with the ball. And Diallo has to take part of the blame for the second goal, showing little to no desire to overpower Watkins, as he was easily held off by him. Just passing to the midfield, but passing them straight to an Aston Villa player, like there's no concentration there whatsoever. I can't remember much he offered going forward, if he offered anything. And it was just another lacklustre performance, which we know Diallo can produce. And there can be games where he's good, like the Man City Carabao Cup final. He's probably one of the best players on the pitch that day. Wolves, all these other games that you think, oh, so you can put that performance in. You need to be consistent. And I hate saying this because I've never been the one to be like, oh, this player needs to go, oh, this player needs to be sold, like, get him out of the team. I've never been one of those people because I feel like I've never wanted to be that harsh. But I think at this moment in time, where we are as a team, he's just not good enough. And I hate saying it, and I've said it already, but he needs to be sold in the summer. And obviously I do thank him for his loyalty to the club and everything, but it's just not good enough to be a regular starter. And I think we need better defenders that are more consistent, that have more concentration, to be able to move forward as a team. And I don't expect him to go in the summer. I just don't. I don't think Daniel Levy's going to get rid of him. But in my opinion, he does need to go. Moving on to Reguilon. I gave Reguilon a 4. He made 2 tackles, 1 interception, 2 blocks, 1 clearance. I think that was the worst half I've seen from Reguilon. Obviously, gifting 2 goals to the opposition. A comical own goal. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, oh my god. And the fact that it was an amazing goal, with but it was so bizarre. I've never seen someone score an own goal like that. And it was just one of those things, like, oh, could this day get any worse? But he just needs to be better in those circumstances. There was no pressure on him. Well, there was no one around him. All he had to do was clear the ball. And he swipes at it. Why? Like, I get he didn't mean to do it, but it's just frustrating. And then the second goal, I feel like this is probably worse than the first one, which was an own goal. Getting caught in possession in your own third. And he had two chances to clear the ball. One, he got away with. And you're thinking, right, you got away with that. Now do this one right. But no, he tries and pass it and it gets cut out. And then Watkins is essentially one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Well, Eric Dyer's there, but he's not really doing anything. So essentially, he's one-on-one. That goal essentially lost us the game. He slightly improved in the second half, driving us forward and trying to create stuff, but ultimately didn't do enough to change the result. And it was a worrying display from Reguilon. Ever since he got that injury, it's been a bit up and down, mostly down, but there's a few ups, like the last performance against Wolves. So we know he can do it. It's just he's lost that consistency that he had at the start of the season. Okay, and now we're going to move on to Winks. Winks, I gave a 4 as well. It's this constant sideways passing that gets me. Like, you're not going to score a goal with this constant sideways passing because you're not going anywhere. You're not making any forward passing, and it's just so frustrating. You're there to get the ball to the attackers, but you're just not doing it. It's just so frustrating. And then he loses possession way too easily. You're not making any forward passes, slowing the game down. And then that made it easy for Aston Villa to keep their shape and have all men behind the ball. And then he had one shot at goal, which was off target, and it wasn't a good shot either. He offered absolutely nothing going forward. When you're in the midfield, you need to offer something going forward, even if it's just a little, a little bit of quality. But just Winks, no, he doesn't have that. And also not doing his job for the defence. And then I think Eric Dyer had to have a word with him like early on in the game, but obviously that didn't really help because he didn't really defend. He was just leaving Toby to try and control the midfield by himself. Like, Winks was basically a passenger for that entire game. And I believe he should have come at half-time. I don't know why he didn't come up at half-time and just be replaced by like Ndombele or Lo Celso or anyone. It's just, he should have come off at half-time. I feel like he was one of the main problems we had, other than, Reguilon giving away 2 goals. But I think if Winks came off at half-time and Ndombele was on, we definitely could have got back into the game and we could have won the game. I just feel like he wasn't playing for the fans. There were like 10,000 fans in the stadium, and you're putting in a performance like that. Like, how? He's another player that his time has come to end at Spurs. Complaining about getting no game time, and then you put in a performance like that. Like I've said, no game time, but you're putting in lacklustre performances. So obviously you're not going to get into the team. I mean, his attitude has stunk all season, and we've seen it. And I feel like a lot of Spurs fans will feel this frustration with Winks, because these performances we know he gives, and the only time he turns up properly is against like a lower team, like a Stoke or a team in Europa League, and it's just like, you don't turn up in the big games, and I don't know why that is. Because you're Spurs, you come through the academy and you're meant to be a Spurs fan, but you don't turn up in the big games, and it just doesn't make sense. I'm going to move on to Højbjerg. I gave Højbjerg a 5. I think he made 1 tackle all game, got a yellow card pretty early. I feel like Grealish was running rings around him the whole game. Obviously, he wasn't helped out by Winks, which I've already mentioned, but we're not going back into Winks. So I feel like he was having to do so much by himself. And we've seen this season, when Højbjerg is like being pulled in all these different directions, his levels drop because he's having to do way too much by himself. Passing was a bit sloppy at times, especially for his standards. And obviously that early booking made it nearly impossible for him to make any more tackles. I feel like definitely Winks called his performance to be as worse as it was. Obviously the first 10 minutes were good, but then the whole team's first 10 minutes were good. And then it sort of, we scored and it was like the whole team just backed off and we lost control of the midfield. I do feel for Pierre, as he's played every Premier League game and he's been overworked. But just overall, this performance just was not good enough for him. Okay, now we're moving on to Dele. I gave Dele a 5 as well. 1 attempt, 7 ball recoveries. He spent most of his time on the pitch tracking back and defending. He was quite good at that. But going forward, he seemed to lose the ball whenever he got it, which was really frustrating. And there was no quality going forward with him. And Dele himself seemed frustrated by the lack of movement in front of him. I can't remember anything he did when going forward. If there's anything he did, let me know in the comments below, but I just can't think of anything. He didn't really link up with Son and Kane like they normally do. Like, when they're having a good game, they link up really well, but it was just none of that. We're going to move on to Son. Oh, Sonny. I gave Son a 4. Overall, just a shocking performance from Sonny. Wasn't really involved at all. It was like he went missing for like the whole 90 minutes, and then the only time I actually saw him was celebrating Stevie's goal like right at the beginning of the game. Didn't really offer anything going forward. No shots or taking on Villa players. I looked at his stats, literally zeros everywhere. There were just times where he constantly overheating passes. Wasn't his usual link up with the other attacking players, like I've said with Dele. I think he created one chance from what I can remember, but overall not good enough from Sonny. A player of that quality, you expect a lot more. Finally, a player that I can talk a bit more positively about, Bergwijn. I gave Bergwijn a 7. He was definitely the best attacking player on that pitch. With 1 goal, an amazing strike. He had 3 shots on target, which he could have had a hat-trick. He was always looking to take on Villa players. I feel like he was the only one doing it. In my opinion, he definitely should have scored more than 1 goal. He had enough chances to at least get 1 more. But I feel like he done well for his first start, and I think it was about 3 months that he hasn't started, so he's done well for that. I was surprised he was the one to be taken off though, because I feel like he was the best attacking player on the pitch. So I'd rather him take off like Son. I feel like he was the only one really fighting for his place, and that showed in his performance. And he was the biggest threat to Villa. And I feel like he also didn't deserve to be on the losing side. And overall, it was just a great performance from Stevie. Move on to the last or starting 11, which is Kane. I gave Kane a 5. He couldn't really get involved in the game that much. There was a few moments here and there, had a shot. I think he set up Bergwijn with a chance as well. But other than that, it was a pretty quiet game for Kane. I mean, you could see he was getting frustrated with the players around him. And with a chance of it being his last home game, which I don't like to talk about, but it's not the way you would want it to end in front of the fans. Just a disappointing defeat. He definitely deserved better than what he was getting. He was definitely trying for the team. Obviously, it wasn't a great performance from him, but at the end of the day, you can only do so much yourself. And if I'm being honest, it looks like he's had enough, and honestly, I don't blame him whatsoever. I feel like he's level above some of the players, and some of the players he's playing with, they're basically championship level, and he's deserves to be playing in Champions League. He deserves to be going for titles. And I do feel so sorry for him that he's like sort of being left to play with these players, or some of them anyway. I just want to see, whenever he gets the ball, he's trying to make something happen, but most of the time he's just trying to do it himself. There's like no one around helping him. And if we go into like the end of the match and him clapping, doing the walk around and clapping the fans with tears in his eyes, to me it felt like a goodbye. So I can see him leaving this summer, but if not this summer, definitely next summer. There's no way he's going to be staying, which is really, really sad, and I hate talking about it, and I don't want to get emotional because that's just I can't do that. But we're just going to move into subs. So obviously Bale came on. I'm not going to give them a rating because they weren't really on long enough. Didn't have enough time to make any meaningful impact. Tried his best when he came on. A few nice passes in there, and he was trying to create something to get us back into the game. But nothing was really coming off for him. He did lose control of the ball a couple of times with his tricks and flicks, which I don't know what he was doing. But it was that. I feel like Ndombele, as I've already said, did more in 15 minutes than Winks did in 75. He was able to turn away from a few Villa players, as we know how Ndombele is. There was some nice passing and dribbling with the ball, trying to create something, but wasn't helped by the other players on the pitch. Matt came on, and we're not going to give him a rating because he came on just because Jaffet got that injury. Wasn't really enough time for him to do anything in the game. There was woeful defending at times, I have to admit. It's just mad. Getting caught on the ball, and it was just passing at the back was atrocious. And yeah, he didn't really offer much going forward, which I feel like he was just there because Jaffet got injured. I feel like another player could have come on, and maybe we could have tried and got a chance and tried to get a draw or something. But it wasn't enough. So that's all the players and the subs. Maybe into Ryan Mason. I've had to give Ryan Mason a 4. Starting 11 was wrong. Wink shouldn't be on the pitch. And I still believe he should have come at half-time. Should have come off at half-time. Subs were made too late. 15 minutes to go is not enough time. But again, I'm not putting all the blame on Mason because Mason ain't a manager. So to put all the blame on him would be wrong. And obviously the people to blame is Daniel Levy and Enoch. And and I know that the fan base is split with Enoch out, Enoch in. If you're Enoch in, can you let me know in the comments below why you're Enoch in? Because other than getting us from mid-table to a few years consistently in the top 4, what have they done? 1 trophy in 20 years is not good enough for this football club, and it's frustrating. And I just let me know why you could be Enoch in when literally everything they've done in the past few weeks, or like even in the past few years with Pochettino, then Mourinho, and like with what's happening with Harry Kane, how can you still be Enoch in? I respect your opinion. I would just like to, you know, understand why you're Enoch in. But yeah, so there is my player ratings. It's so hard right now to be like positive about anything, and I feel like watching this you was gonna be down yourself, and I'm sorry about that. I feel like I did go into a few players, and I didn't go into some players that were, I feel like I went into more, I was more frustrated with Winks than I was with Reguilon, which may sound like wink. What am I talking about? No. And it's not me scapegoating Winks before anyone decides that is the case. That's not the case. I've defended Winks quite a lot throughout the season when he's like deserved it, obviously, and not like when he's performed bad. But I feel like he has been good at giving Winks. God, I'm so hungry. Did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. So there will be a match preview to the Leicester game, the predicted lineup to the Leicester game, a watch along to the Leicester game, and then obviously the reactions to the pre-press conference, and then the post-match press conference, and then the player ratings. And then I don't know what we'll do after that because my football content will be, I don't know what football content I'm going to come out with after the end of the season. If you do have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. I may split this into like part 1, part 2 if it's too long. And yeah, I'll see you guys with a new video this week. Leicester game. I'm not confident. But we move on to the last game of the season, and I'm scared. And yeah, I'll see you guys with a new video very soon. Bye!